Right, so I've just put basically the other part that I cut out of the shape that I needed for this little building. It's like a mushroom building, if you like. But the actual thingy that I cut out for this building is being stuck over it. I put a tiny bit of PVA glue on, let it dry a tiny bit so it was just tacky, and then I've just pushed it on there, and hopefully that will pull off nicely. I've left it at the bottom so that I can get a grip of it and pull it off. Fingers crossed. It doesn't matter too much if a bit of paper stays on there, but I've actually put some tape on so I can pull it off. What I need to do while I've got this acrylic colour, I'm just going to take some of that light colour on the fill bit, and I know that I'm going to have some water down in here, you see. There's going to be a little pond just down in there, so I'm just going to apply some of that colour as a reflection for that. A nice little reflection for it. Something about like so. I'll probably put a bit of dark back over this again. I just wanted a little bit of something reflecting in there for that pagoda. I'll make it a bit more subtle later on. I just want it to get some of that colour in. You never know, because sometimes it dulls down a lot more than you think with acrylic, so it might turn out to be okay. But I'm not too worried anyway. There. That's good. Right, so I've now got cadmium yellow and sap green and some black, which I'm going to use. I'm going to I've got a separate paper towel here, which I'm just going to, not paper towel, so a separate paper plate, which I'm going to use to tap the paint out onto. So I'll show you what I mean. This is the plate. I'm going to put a bit of yellow there. I'm going to use some green with it. Mix myself a nice good green to start with, because we're going over pretty much a light white colour here. I'm hoping that's going to be nice and bright for what we want. I want to get a few yellower parts first. I'm just changing the twang of that, you see that? Just changing the twang a tiny bit, trying to get some of that in there. This is the brightest spot in here, so it's important to leave some white. Don't just cover all the white up in there. I want to keep it quite light. Just use that in there. And you notice, because I went into the dark and then the yellow afterwards, you'll notice that when I press harder, the darker bits come out still. Because it's still there on your brush. See that? Darker layer. So just put that in there. It's lovely. Yummy green. I'm actually going to get some more sap green and then go into that colour again with more sap green in it. Same thing pretty much, just more sap green. Now I know that I want some darker areas just around there, so I'm going to keep twisting the brush around a bit with this, because I don't want it to be too much of that in there. Put a bit more over in this edge, and these darks that I put in first, the acrylics, will stand out underneath. Really will stand out beautiful. Again, there's a good dark area. You can get a tiny bit of black with that as well. Just a small bit of black with the green, and then just into these shadows it's going to get slightly darker. See that? Just in there. And it gets darker towards the base of the trees. Just in there I can put some bits of dark in. Just a couple while it's still slightly wet. Now underneath that, it wants to be quite dark. Just in there. It wants to get quite dark. That's where the water's edge is going to be. So again, just keep twisting it, turning it, and some of that colour up in there. Loads of this lovely green up in there I want. And then put some darks in between again. Give it some separation. I just want to get some colour on there to start with. Yeah, same at this side. The green and the black. But don't kill it all. You see these little light areas in there, you can put a bit of lighter greens into them areas, into them spots. Now it's a bit brighter at the tops, it's dark at this edge, and it gets dark down into there. That's why I put all that black gesso down in there originally, because I knew I needed it to be quite dark in there. Now you can see why I put this template on now, because I'm painting around it basically, so when I pull it off, everything that I'm doing now will look like it's behind the little pergola thing. Again, I'm just tapping a bit of that colour. Then I'm going to go back to the yellow, get a bit more yellow on there. Might even put a tiny bit of white with it, and the gloss medium also in there. See that? A nice bright yellow. And then I want to use that up in here, up in the top. Needs a bit of it over there as well. And then light areas. Don't kill all the white. Leave some of it. Just enough. You get a bit of the dark with the light. Just turn it around sometimes. Switch it backwards and forwards over the light colour. Tap that over there. Again, back to the darks. Sap green black. And there's still a bit of that yellow on there. Use that light yellow just up in there. And you can just put some shadows in between them. Give them a bit of definition. Even up in tops of here you see a few shadows coming in. Just a nice fuzzy looking background is what I'm after. I want it to be quite fuzzy. Don't want it to be too detailed. Something about that sort. See, I'm going to have a really nice tree here on the right. So I know that this side still needs to be quite a bit darker. I'm just reloading. I'm just going to go into this spot. You want to have this tree in front of it, and it'll help this tree to stand out by having these darker shadows, distinguished darker shadows on this right hand side. Quite a bit darker. That's it. Right, so basically I want to get some more kind of yellow, white, sap green, mix that to the sap green, but I want it really bright, this colour. Now with that I'm going to push into it slightly and get a little ridge on the top corner. Now with that I can just put in here some indication, some limbs that are coming over. Just made it quite a bit brighter so that it stands out. And it's got the glaze medium in it as well. See that? It's just coming over, but it's behind this. That's it. And again, I'm going to do the same thing, just over here slightly. Bring some little bits that are coming down. See that? Like limbs that are just coming down. That's it. Just in here as well, I want to use that straight, nearly straight yellow, but I've got all the other greens on the brush as well. And then I want to actually create some limbs that look like they're just sitting over there. Come from a different direction when I get that side. Come actually down there. See that? So on that side of there. It just makes this tree like have a shadow underneath it, and that's what we're trying to achieve. Nice and bright. Smart. Happy with that. Now I want to do that same thing basically what I've just done up there, but I want to put some of this green down into the water. So I've just got the green with the yellows and stuff, and I know that I'm going to have a really light bush along here, so I'm just going to reflect it in the water, and it starts about there. It's quite bright. It's going to be darker in the water than it is up above, but I know that there's quite a bit of green going on in there. By putting it in like this, when I go over with oils, my plans are, I've got some plans, I ain't even going to tell you actually, I'm just going to do it and let you all see. You can do this and get some of these colours in, do that bit of this green, everywhere on there. And then just use a clean brush and go down, see that? And you get them lovely wet looking reflections. This is acrylics, so it's slightly different to oils in that respect. If you just go in here, pop a few indications of reflections, opposites of what we've got above basically. Some greens in there. You go backwards and forwards as well between your darks and your lights. For me now, I just want to get enough of these greens in first. You can actually see it going through there slightly. There's some brighter. See how I just tap that brighter and then some darker. So I've got that bright one in. Just tap around the edge of it with some lighter ones. There. Same over in here. Got a load of green just showing through. This will dull off again because of the gesso underneath. It always does. Even with the glaze medium, it'll still slightly go darker. And that's a good thing. I want it to be dark in here, with a few of them green reflections just going on. Even in there a bit. Cool. I want to put some branches and stuff up in there now. First of all, before I do that, I'm going to use a clean brush. And I'm just going to pull down on them reflections that I just did. And that'll really set them in there lovely. Nice, make them look slightly wet. It's going well. Maybe a couple of greens I've just seen going on in there. So again, I can just pull down on that, go across. On these little bits. I'm going to mix myself up a lot of that brown again from the sap green and the crimson. There. I'm going to use some water with that. Tiny bit of black as well. So I'll just show you that there. That's the colour that I'm using. And we're still with the acrylics at this present moment. Just going to make that nice and thin like ink. And then just over here I've actually got a branch that comes in. So I want to get this right because it actually disappears underneath the leaves at one point. Goes up there like so, disappears, and then comes out like that. I always do it smaller than I want it, because then you can always go back, you see, and make it slightly bigger, and then thinner at the ends. There, just want some little branches coming out from that. I'll put some more leaves probably over the top of this as well. I'm just going to make that a bit wider. There. Probably good. And like I said, I can put some over the top of that. I might even get just some straight black. Just a straight black. I'm just going to gently put a bit of that in where the shadow is at this side, underneath. See that, just in there. Do that while it's wet. The dark. And it'll blend with the dark brown. There, that's good. Maybe there's one coming off. Just a bit. I need some water with that. It doesn't run for you. Get some water with it. Just need one coming down from there. A gnarly one. That's it. Sweet. See, we've got this other tree over in this end, over here, which is going to be close to us. Well, not close, it's in the middle ground basically, but I need this to be quite dark behind for this to contrast what I'm going to do with that tree, because it's going to be so much lighter. Now you'd see me do this with the dark. I'm going to do one dark but slightly lighter, and I'm going to put them just in here in this dark area, and it needs a bit of light for it to stand out in here. You will see what I mean. Because it's darker down in here. You need something that's just going to stand out a bit against that dark. See that? And just putting some little trunks that are growing up in the background there. Just some little indications of stuff going on in the background. Because I'm doing this in acrylics, it'll be quite subtle. I'll allow some of that to show through. It's like a little banking, a little bit of dirt just showing up banking of the water. And I'll reflect a bit of that colour into the water as well. Actually use my foam and just blend that out. See that? Go back to some black. And then you can actually use that to create some ripples and stuff like that in the colour that you just put on there. And it also will help you create your water line, which comes from here. It needs to be good and dark, this colour. It comes from, I need to get just a straight black. Just gonna right along. You will see the difference between this and the other, because of the greens and stuff that you put on there. And it's nice as well, just with a straight dark, to go in here and there and just put some, put little ripples in. You know, just some little darker areas. Just going through them reflections here and there. And that water's edge especially, it needs to be dark. There. So enjoyable. I love using acrylics. I use them a lot, I really do. So that's given us waterline, something like what we want. Now under here it actually goes further back. Just under where that tree is there, the water actually just starts to go further back. So by using the dark, I can do that. See in there? So it's not just flat water line, it's actually going away from us, slightly behind it. That's smart, I'm happy. Now this dark area here was important because what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull through a bush here so it stands out against this dark. And also I've got this tree to put in, so I might as well put that tree in now while I've got these browns out. Only difference, I want a lot more white with this. So I've got that dark brown that I mixed up already there. some more crimson, green and black with it, just so I've got more paint. I don't want to run out. Crimson, green, black. Just a nice brown colour. And then in there with the white and the flow medium, the glaze medium, acrylic glaze medium. I'll show you that while I'm doing this demo. I'll show you the stuff that I'm using. Now, with that, I'm just going to put the light in first. It actually has a really big branch that starts off right over here. Because this is so much lighter, it should really stand out. And then it bends upwards. Keep reloading your brush for this. A bit more white I think I need, and I'm just going to get a bit of water with it also, just to thin it down. There. And I know I need quite a bit more paint for this, so that's why I'm thinning it down so much. If you don't get it as light as you want it first time, persist. Just persist with it. I mean, it's going to be almost white as this eventually, this branch. Anyway, that comes down about there. And it actually follows. It's like a leaning bonsai tree, but it's quite big. And it's sitting on this little plateau here, just here. And it goes off behind that with a nice sized trunk to it. It's not a small thin trunk, it's quite a chunky one. So see that? Just putting that acrylic in first, and then I can put the dark in while it's wet still. To be fast though. If you work too slowly doing this, the acrylics will dry on you, and you won't be able to bleed it in there, you know, and let it mix with that colour. It won't work. It really branches off into loads of different ones, does this. So I want to work on one at a time. I knew I'd need loads of this colour, you see. So I'm really thinning it down now so it goes a long way. Just want to come off of that, just about there. And I'm bringing one that's just coming along. It's going to be a lot lighter than it is at the moment. And then the shadows are going to make it have some real depth. One of them actually comes along off of this and then along, and this one's quite a gnarly branch that's going up and down, and don't know which way it wants to go. Dump this one, and it comes right off of the canvas, even there. Smart. Leaning bonsai tree, this one, and then we've got one coming from up here. It actually bends inwards and then back out to there. And it's not a really wide branch in that, so I'm not going to get too carried away. Reload some more paint and go over that. Now, while this is still wet, that's good. While this is still wet, I'm just going to get some of the dark black into that colour, that light brown. So we've got a nice dark shadow colour, and then on the underside of this is a shadow. A dark shadow for it. I'm going to pull that all the way down there. And you see how it's blending with the acrylics that I've already got on there that are still wet. It's because I've worked fast. You wouldn't blend it like that if you don't work fast. And this medium keeps it wet for a bit longer as well. The gel medium that I use for acrylics, it really does help keep it better. And also there's some more depth in this one because it's got a shadow on both sides, so I can pull that through like there and then blend behind it, and it gives you like 3D depth. I hope that's standing out to you. Right, so it wants to actually be dark on that side. And then the light's just hitting the top of that, so I'll have to make that a bit lighter. Put these darks in there, I can go back to getting the lights in again basically. That's cool. These are going to be nearly white. Just going to put a bit of a shadow just on that side. Like that. Blend behind it. You always have to blend behind it when you're doing these. Happy. Right, so I need to get some more white out. See, this one here is pretty much in shadow. So I want to put some leaves on it and stuff like that, so that's actually in shadow, is that one. Right, so again, got the dark browns on my brush. See there? Put them over here, and I'm just going to use straight titanium white with it. But it's going to be more white than it is brown this time. This is still wet, but I know that these branches in here are a lot lighter than I've actually got them. So I'm going to come in there, see that? And I'm just going to make them a lot brighter. So that colour underneath will still mix with this bright colour. So it'll have a hue of brown even though it's really light. So I wanted these to be light. The sun's hitting them. There. See, that's starting to mix now with that colour underneath. Now this is where you can get some real lovely effects. It's lit up on this side as well. Just on there. Again, come back behind, blend it. And now that sits in front, you see. It's got a darker shadow. Cool. The light actually comes right onto here. It's lighting it up a good bit. And then it actually hits that side there. And blend behind that into the dark. There's a few little areas on the trunk there as well. Just blend them into shadows. A little lighter areas here and there. Blend behind. A lot of fun doing these. A lot of fun. Now the light is actually hitting this one as well, so I can bring that down through there. Much brighter. And the same on the top side of that. Places where it will hit the light and places where it won't hit. When the branches are like this, so sporadic. Even the top part of that's got a bit of light on it. This.